Hi there, and welcome back to A History of Fleetwood Mac. I'm Anita. Today we're going to do something a little bit different and go over my very low count of cassette tapes. There was a time, not too long ago, just before I moved to Oregon, where I had a pretty decent amount of cassette tapes, most all that I had had growing up, things I had acquired over time, and in my infinite wisdom, I decided to get rid of them. I don't recall if I sold them or if I gave them away. And I wasn't done with cassette tapes. I still had a cassette player. I don't know if I was trying to condense or what I was thinking. Yet somehow I still have a current decent selection of cassette tapes now. So, but there's certainly nowhere near what I have as far as 45s, LPs, or CDs. So I just thought I would share the small amount I have, a little short video in between of cassette tapes. So, starting off, I'm going to start off with a cassette tape from Spain that is funny because it consists of a great photo of Fleetwood Mac from the Tusk era, but it is completely a cassette tape prior to Tusk, prior to Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham joining material. So there are songs like Black Magic Woman, Rattlesnake Shake, Need Your Love So Bad, Shake Your Moneymaker, Albatross, pretty much the greatest hits. I believe it was one of two. And I know that when I discussed my VHS DVD collection, there will be another from the same company. You'll recognize this name here, and it's Rock Storia e Musica, and they just release different things like this with different covers and such. I don't believe that I have any LPs with them. There are, but there are certainly LPs that have completely the wrong picture with older music, and I'll pick it up just because it's Fleetwood Mac and I don't mind, but it is kind of funny. I definitely think they put on a more current photo of the band to sell it better, which is really unnecessary because their older music sells just fine. And a great collection like this is a great collection. It deserves the band members that were responsible for it, but nonetheless, that just kind of starts off my little collection. So yeah. So after that one, we have a Buckingham Nicks cassette tape that's seen better days. This is a standard US version. To my knowledge, this is a correct release, just based on the side, the color of the packaging, and the cassette itself. I don't believe it to be a later release. I believe it to be a 74, release. Not much on the inside, so unless, I don't have any more, so unless there are ones with stuff on the inside, then I guess I would know better if it were a reprint or not. So I've also realized in going back over these to show, I would really like to buy new cases, or be, some of these can be cleaned up. This one's kind of dirty. You want to keep them as original as possible, of course, just like anything, but some of the American ones deserve to be rehoused. But sometimes there's even something like a little imprints on the plastic or something that they should stay in that, but they're just all messed up and scratched and such. So anyway, next up we have the White Album on cassette. This one is unique. I'm not entirely sure where this one is from. White with the yellow writing. Everything points to, except the cassette, everything points to USA release, but I'm not convinced. Possibly Canadian. or just a very original early release. Again, I don't have many others to compare it to. Um, yeah. Ah, that sound of that plastic. But like this case is getting kind of messed up, but there's no marks on this one. Just kind of dirty. But here definitely is a US release. So there's some variants here. But these ones I believe are Columbia House. They don't say it, and just because does not pull up the barcode as Columbia House, but I believe that they are. I kept everything in my little cassette keeper thing. And these are old school beasts, if you recall these. Kind of hard to get in and out. If I had been driving back in the day and trying to get these cassettes in and out of there, I would have completely gotten in an accident. Do you remember when you had your CDs? Those were real easy to just slip in little cases and such like that. But these cassette tapes do not want to go back into their spots. And thinking of reaching over while I was driving, trying to get a new cassette and put the old one back. No. It's probably how people lost all their cassette tapes. This one, as I said, definitely made in the US. Does not say Columbia House or anything such, but I believe it to be that. Standard cassette. I also need to get these back into my cassette player and be kind and rewind. Have them all set. I've actually been told that you want to have your things more, if you have cassettes, you want to have them more kind of in the middle, like this one is, or just slightly into play, because if they're wound all the way up and kept and unplayed, they're kind of wound tight, literally, like, so you don't want that to happen. I don't really know about the care and feeding of my cassette, but it makes perfect sense. So next up we have Rumours. I believe the same way as the White Album. So again, I do believe this is a Columbia House. Exactly the same kind of insert look as well. No fold out or anything. No lyrics. So not so fancy, so that's why I think Columbia House. And I'm not even sure, I've never seen one. I'm not sure that I've seen a cassette of Rumours that has the fold out or anything more, much like the album does, like the 2-page fold out. Anything else that would come inside a cassette. Let me know if anybody has one that's like that. I'd be interested to know. And you know, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to catch up on cassettes. When I see them around, I mean, there's a couple that I've gotten since I've been in Oregon. Obviously, all of these, but I mean, in the last year, perhaps, when we get to Rock a Little, I just stumbled upon like 3 Rock a Little in one store. That was really cool, and they were all different countries. And possibly a Tango and something else. And I'll show you in a minute just how you can see when they're all stacked up, how easy it is to tell that they're from different countries. So this is a Tusk, and I definitely think this is a Columbia House. It's got the setup. It doesn't have the same setup exactly. I mean, this looks like the inside, but this does say special 2-in-1. So instead of, I know that the original release was a 2 cassette, much like a 2 LP release. The cassettes were as well. So it actually wasn't so great to have it on one cassette because it was so much tape, could break so easily. We all know how to do with our fingers and the pencils. A lot of kids out there today are like, huh? How do you play this thing? Rewind it or fix it. But yeah, you would have wanted it on 2 cassettes just for a clearer, crisper sound. When you put it on this one cassette, the music is too condensed. It's going to definitely sound different. Could sound fine. I'm certainly not a fancy schmancy ear I noticed some differences in vinyl and CD and cassettes, but I'm not one of those ones who's like a complete, which again I'm getting into with the vinyl. Those ones who just, oh, I hear yada 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 yada. I think possibly the most complaint and agreement I have with music lovers and people who are really particular about their music sound is CDs and raising the level of the sound so much that it just sounds like all you're hearing is almost like a static sound. You're not hearing all the small little nuances that are going on in the background. And that's definitely to be found in vinyl. And cassette was a good follow-up. I thought it was. I thought it was a great media. It was certainly compact and it was pretty easy. And but current CDs, a lot of the redos and reissues, as you'll hear me talk about at some point, they really just did them wrong. They didn't do them. The best ones you can get are the ones that initially came out, or certain other the high mobile fidelity things like that. So some of these are just not going to go back in. So next up we have a unique Fleetwood Mac Live Part 1. So it's missing Part 2. And nice blue. The cassette, very unusual. And this is not on Discogs. I'm not sure that I've made an entry for it. I think that I have because I have another one coming up that is the same. And I've joked with myself, the call number for it is, sorry, IMD 7144, the catalog number, not call number. And I've been joking with myself that it's independently made, is with the IMD. There's a lot of fake cassettes out there right now. I've talked about this with the 45s, that the 45s are being made with a fan-made picture sleeve, but you pay for the 45, which is legit and complete. Cassettes, however, I guess it's possibly easy to come across colored cassettes or just different ways. I'm not entirely sure. I doubt it would be very hard to make these labels. I guess you could just, we all know how to tape over old cassettes, so I guess you could just kind of shine them down or put a sticker. Who's to say? But I know that there's definitely an influx of fake cassettes that are running around. These ones I've had for a while. I mean, I moved to Oregon in 2009 with some of these. I'm just saying the bulk of what I had was either given away or sold. I can't recall. It's kind of fuzzy. But I see ones like in the last, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years, and it's like, no, these are just fake. They're just, it's 100% they're from Saudi Arabia or Bangkok or some really weird place, and they've never surfaced before. And then again, just much like I tell you about the 45s, they sell and they never come up again. You go to Discogs, like 2 people have them, but 58 people are seeking them, so it just seems kind of fishy. And it just seems to me that people are really hand making a lot of cassette tapes currently. Again, if you want to get those, it's fine. I'm just into having the collectible items themselves. So next up we have an American release of heavy metal with Stevie Nicks' Blue Lamp on there. Great song. Supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, the first track on Belladonna. If not the first track, definitely on Belladonna. And since it was left off and this was coming out at the same time, produced, I believe, by Jimmy Iovine. I'm not sure if I'm correct in my recollection. When I get into the vinyl, I'll have all my notes and everything proper, but I'm sure that I know there's a solid connection between who put together this music compilation and Stevie Nicks. So, and this just standard cassette. Wow, that has the old receipt in it. How funny is that? They say Iovine. Yeah, there's so many names in here I can't read. It's kind of small. But all the thank yous. I know that Stevie gets a thank you in here. That's funny. That's funny. Let's see this. This is a receipt. Look at that. From 1990. Somebody purchased this in 1990. Obviously, it came out well ahead of then. But it looks like they purchased it for... That can't be right. Looks like they purchased it for $17.69. That can't be right. Because that's weren't that expensive in 1990, were they? I know that heavy metal was kind of hard to come by for a while, but that can't be right. That's just kind of funny that it's in there. Probably when I came across this or got it, I leave stuff like that inside because it always interests me. This is in really great shape. And I do know that it was a while, I believe, before it was released on CD. I know it took forever for it to come out on VHS. So maybe at the time it was that expensive. Next up, we have some belladonnas here. We have quite a few. This one is from, I just have as Europe. This one is really a neat cover. So when I talk about, when I go to the music stores, any of them, it's so easy because usually you'll find, however they pile them, they have them like in like a flat layout, something like this, or they have them on a shelf like this, all laid out. I mean, it's just blatantly obvious all the differences that you can see here. And the same with CDs. When I talk about CDs, the slightest difference. If I see this number is over here or this is over here, vice versa, I'm buying it. I don't care if I have it at home. If I see any difference, I'm buying it. So obviously you can tell from the get-go just that does not look like the standard. This is the standard. This isn't the standard American release. This is definitely a what did I say? Columbia House. I think it's the standard American release, but this one is clearly from somewhere else. And I have it just listed, Discogs has it as from Europe. The cassette is black, not clear, not white, which is very common in the United States. But black cassettes were pretty common in Europe. The insert, not terribly different, but different writing, different how it's laid out there. And some credits, a pretty decent amount of credits considering. So that is a European one. Got the American one, which, like I said, standard. Absolutely nothing on the inside. White cassette. What was funny about this one, is it this one or the other one? It was housed double, which I thought was kind of funny. It just came like that. So it kind of stood out. And we have, this looks to me to be a later release. But again, it's going to be different from the difference that I can find is here. Can you see that? How the writing is? On the spines, it's almost identical. It is identical. But, so I see the differences on the back, and I'm like, oh, that's it. Gotta get it. But this is well says USA. I don't believe this is the right case because of these stickers started coming out more in the 90s. But cassette looks to be verbatim as the other one, pretty much. Then this one from Korea, which is really unique. Now, funny enough, Korea has a nice little fold out with like two songs. It doesn't appear that there's any more pieces cut or perforated or anything. So, and it looks like possibly they would come in more a, that makes sense because it should be like that. As you can see, there's another spine here. So it looks to me like possibly you would buy these like slipped in like this, not in a plastic case. That's just me. That's an assumption. But it's funny to me that there are some lyrics inside. Definitely don't think this is fake. This looks like this has been around the block. And I've seen it on Discogs. So this shows the American, if you will. And it's great that it has a photo and everything. And then the other side in Korean. Very different labeling. Again, this kind of oatmeal color cassette. But on Discogs, this has a general catalog number. It's under license from WEA, which we talked about a lot with the vinyl 45s. So this has more all the up and up information and criteria that would meet being a legitimate release from another country than, say, this next one that I have coming up, which again, quite lovely, but just doesn't look great to me. And again, I'm going to make the joke about independently made, but it's awfully nice. I love how it looks. This one with the blue. I don't believe, was that other one blue? Yeah, different shade, but that was the one earlier. And different font, but this one even has a fold out, which just has the lyrics. I'm sorry, the song titles. Oh, this one did too. But the cassette in here, when I showed you this one, the live one, the cassette being that kind of oatmeal and such, the cassette that's in this one, very fishy, has different numbers, catalog numbers that don't match up with anything, again, in Discogs. So I don't think these two go together, personally. And this is one I found somewhat recently. But that other one I know that I've had a while, so not that people couldn't be making things fake for a while, just I find it interesting that this has probably been found in the last 5 years, let's say. And this other one was found definitely in the last, probably right around the time I moved to Oregon or around 2009, which would indicate to me a little bit more likely to be real, because people just didn't seem to me, you know, there's always going to be fakes, bootlegs. I mean, bootlegs is a big deal, but usually bootlegs are a show or things we can't obtain easily. Show B-sides, interviews from the radio, what have you. This is the album. These things are obtained very readily. And in the 90s and such like that, we had LimeWire and all that stuff that all those people were trying to shut down. So to make a bogus cassette tape, and cassettes were also a weird media. It's a weird media now. Cassettes are definitely, they are one you can say is definitely making a resurgence. But I find it very odd that they're making cassettes now, if I am in fact correct, to be making fake ones, because it's just like we can still get old cassettes for like $1, the real deal. Why would I want to spend $45 on eBay for a fake one just because you made a prettier cover or fancy stuff, fancy font and stuff? It just makes no sense to me. But those are my belladonnas. Going into Mirage, these are both, I think these are duplicates, I'm pretty sure. Nope. Same thing here. We have 2 USA releases. Everything's correct on the front. Everything looks verbatim on the spine. Dirty cassette cases, I apologize. But when you get to the back, you can see that the writing is, this goes down, horizontal, and vertical. Inside, however, again, pretty much everything matches. Looks to be about the same. This one could just be an off-white or it could be dirty from ages. Inside, everything's the same. Nothing folds out. So, hard to say. One could be the standard US version, the other could be Columbia House again. Wild Heart was kind of fun. This one, I think I found recently. This is from Spain. Has the cover a little bit different. Again, all the right catalog numbers, WA, etc. Everything adds up to being legit. And this one has a little bit of information inside, the song titles and what have you. Then we definitely have a Rode Hard to Put Away Wet. This could be one. I mean, this looks like something I had. This might be mine because it is from Logos, which I don't know if I've talked much about Logos. Probably in my, depends on where this video gets sprinkled into. But when I talk about my LPs, Logos was a record store in Santa Cruz, California. And Logos would put the date of purchase on all their, first of all, they would put stickers that were impossible, annoyingly enough, to remove from most media. And they would put a date, and this is 7/29/83. And it was $3.50 used. Came with this little thing. So this wouldn't have been, I got mine in Stockton, I know for a fact, so. And this one looks like it's missing some of its, well, possibly not, but this one's seen better days. But it's together, it's intact. Damaged and old, but intact. And it's hard to find them with the, still with its little insert lyric. So that's kind of a nice have. This one I also found on eBay not too long ago. It's on Discogs because I put the entry in. It is a odd little Christine McVie from 1984. A brief discography of Christine McVie. The story so far as narrated by Paul Gambini. I'm going to guess that's how you say his name. Not for sale, promotional only. It has I'd Rather Go Blind, Heroes Are Hard to Find, Don't Stop, Only Over You, and Got a Hold on Me. It has all the, looks very professional and well done. Blank on the back. And whether it's true or not, because anybody could just type this, but it does say used by kind permission of CBS Records. So I do take this one to be legit. There's a little bit of dialogue in between, but not much. And it's something I ought to probably record and upload to YouTube so that it's available for people. I've seen a couple of these since I purchased this one, but kind of a unique find for Christine McVie fans. We have American Anthem. When they get to the CD aspect of American Anthem, this one is sealed, so this is pretty cool. And this has Stevie Nicks' Battle of the Dragon. American Anthem on CD is pretty impossible to get. Not impossible, but it's still around the $50 mark. So it's one that got pressed when it came out in, I think I want to say 85, and was never repressed. So I think it's kind of obscure in that sense, and I would say the same for the cassette haven't looked it up, but it is cool that this one is sealed. And, you know, would probably get a little bit just because, not that I'm selling it, just kind of interesting. Again, when I talk about looking at your cassettes on a rack, clearly a nice clear difference here. We have our standard USA Columbia House, clear, complete fold out, everything you've seen with American cassettes. This one is from Germany, virtually the same. This one is kind of faded out, which is unfortunate. Somebody played this a lot, which fantastic. But still has the same fold out. Everything is verbatim on the inside. Font is a little bit different, and spine. The biggest difference is the spinal. Fleetwood Mac used this lovely kind of, which I again talk about on the 45s, kind of a cantaloupe color with the blue. And on this one, it's white. Fleetwood Mac is in white with the blue underneath. And then this one is from Canada. This is the most different looking one. Fleetwood Mac on white. They use the kind of more cantaloupe, and it's more green. It's still on the blue side, but it's definitely more green compared to the others. And it's this kind of insert. Black cassette. Yet everything inside is the same. That kind of goes right through Tango in the Night. We get to Little Lies. This one, again, is sealed. Somebody had to put this in a cassette. They kind of broke it. They broke out the little pieces, the little pokey parts, to put the single. Love saying that. Boy, these lived for a hot minute, didn't they? Singles. Yeah. It's agey right here. They're fabulous. That was a great way to get the single. People still had cassette tapes or their Walkmans, and just like CD singles and 45s, they just wanted the song. Maybe they didn't want the whole album. So this was Little Lies backed with Ricky. This one is in fact sealed, so I'm going to leave it that way. That is that. Then they had Seven Wonders. I'm confident they had... Nope, I'm not confident. Those might be the only two singles from... There might be a Big Love single. I know there's quite a few CD singles. So, moving straight on from Tango in the Night, we have just the very special Christmas to Have, because Stevie's Silent Night is on there. So I just have it in cassette format, standard USA release, clear tape, very 80s now with clear, and not much different here. And the same with the greatest hits. USA release, clear tape, all the information fold out. All the thank yous. This one is damaged. It was perforated, so you can see that it's off. This did have a full all the way out, quite a ways out, I believe, with some of the photos that were on the inside, some lyrics, and a little bit more about the album. So that's unfortunate. So I think I'm going to end this. I think I'm going to make a second video, because this one, I don't want this to get too long. We're hitting the 35-minute mark, and I actually didn't think I talked this much about these. So let me make this short for you. I'll make a second half pretty quickly, and go over the rest from... That's where we go next. Rock a little, all the way to whatever I have to the end to. So until next time, have a great night. Bye.